It has been quite the journey, but we have finally arrived to the conclusion of the Rundown 6 level guides. The Rundown 6 experience has definitely been an interesting one, and it's been a lot of fun working on these level guides for you all. It's always a pleasant feeling when I hear back from the viewers about just how much of an easier time they had with a level after watching one of my guides, or just how they learned some new strategies that they could apply elsewhere to just sort of get better at the game. And it makes me happy to know that I'm helping some of you get your first time completions. So let's end off Rundown 6 strong with one last level guide and go over everything you need to know to beat R6D4. Well then, I guess my work isn't quite finished yet. Shall we get right back into it then? Hello everyone, Professor Scalar here. I hope you're doing fine today. Let's start off this level guide like we always do with the recommended loadout. For this level, I recommend you bring with you a bio tracker, a mine deployer, an auto sentry, and a burst sentry. A pretty specific loadout for a few specific reasons. Starting off, why the bio tracker? Well, in this level, there are going to be quite a few moments where one tiny mistake could potentially put you in a pretty sticky situation, unless if you can recover from it pretty quickly. And having the bio tracker, that way you know where enemies are located throughout the rooms, being able to tag the alerted scout waves, that way you know what direction they're coming from, or just in general, being able to tag enemies, that way everybody on your team knows exactly where they're all located, can help out quite a bit. By no means is a bio tracker a necessity in order to beat this level, but I find that the information that I can provide to you and your team is pretty useful if you know how to use it properly. When it comes to the mine deployer, this is going to help us during all the alarm doors throughout the level, as well as the blood door that we're going to have to go through, but it can also help out in other situations where maybe you wake up a room with a lot of enemies in it, and you just want to fall back, shut a door behind you, place a mine on it, and just let the mine deal with most of the enemies, that way you can conserve your health and your ammunition. And then finally, when it comes to the auto sentry and the burst sentry, these are going to help out a bit during some of the alarm doors we have to do throughout this level, but more importantly, they're going to be helping us out during the 2 full zone scans we're going to have to do. And, things like mines and C-foam are always nice for defense, but they don't really work if you have to hold out for multiple minutes on end. And the full zone scans are going to force you to do that. So having some sentries to give you some extra firepower are going to be a lot more beneficial. Having an auto sentry to stagger enemies and make it easier for you to deal with them without getting licked. Having a burst sentry, that way can chip away at their health or just straight up kill them off. That way you don't have as many enemies you have to worry about, is very nice. A sniper sentry could definitely be helpful in this level, but in all honesty, I prefer the higher rate of fire of the burst sentry, which is why I like to take that one instead. If you have a different tool you would like to take instead of one of the ones I recommended, you definitely can. This is only a B tier level, so you can experiment a bit. But if you're going into it and you're just not really sure what you want to bring, I find that this loadout is quite helpful and can make this level a bit easier to complete. Dropping down into the level, you'll see that your main objective is to download coordinates for Alpha 3 by using a specific terminal that will always be located inside of Zone 18, and you're going to be starting off inside of Zone 12. Zone 12 itself doesn't really have anything I need to take note of. There'll be some enemies, there'll be some resources, as well as 2 security doors, one to the north that leads you to Zone 17, and one to the east that leads you to Zone 13. Now, Zone 17 is ultimately where you need to go to get to Zone 18. But this security door is currently under lockdown and requires you to use a terminal found in Zone 15 in order to unlock it. So we're going to want to head to the east to the security door to Zone 13. However, the security door is going to have a Class 4 alarm tied to it. So let's take a look at the map overlay. As you can see, enemies can spawn from 2 different directions. If they spawn from the south, they're only going to have to go through this door right here to get into your room. So make sure that door is kept shut and you place a mine on it. If they spawn from the north though, then they're going to have to go through these 2 doors to get to you. So I recommend again, shut both doors, place a mine on each of them, and then just simply make sure every other door throughout the zone is kept shut, that way it doesn't mess up with their pathing. As for your sentries, if you want to place them down, you definitely can. The catwalk in the room is a good place to put the burst sentry since it is a long little corridor area. If you want to place the auto sentry down right in front of you while you're working on the big red scans, you could do that, or you could just simply hold on to it if you want. It's really up to you and your team. This alarm isn't too terribly difficult to deal with, so anything can really go. Once you have finished every single one of the scans and all the enemies are dead though, you can make your way into Zone 13 itself. Inside of Zone 13, there are going to be a lot of giant strikers and no resources like medipacks, ammo packs, or tool refill. So this is basically just a stealth zone where you're going to want to sneak your way through and make your way to the opposite end of it. Or if you want to, you could kill off some of the enemies. It's up to you and your team. There are pros and cons of leaving them alive and to killing them, so it's just whatever your team wants to do. But once you make your way through it, you'll find the security door to Zone 14, and this is going to be just a full team scan door. Inside Zone 14, there will be even more giant strikers you're going to have to deal with, as well as a fair amount of regular strikers and shooters. This time though, you are going to want to make sure you kill off every single one of them, because the security door to Zone 15 is going to have a Class 4 alarm tied to it. So let's take a look at that map overlay. As you can see, once again, there are two different locations that enemies can spawn from. If they spawn from the northwest, they're going to go through the open security door and then this door right here to get into your room. So make sure you shut that door and you place a mine on it. If they spawn from the northeast though, they're going to have to go through these two doors to get into your room. So once again, shut both doors, place a mine on each of them, and then you can just place your auto sentry and burst sentry down somewhere in the room near those two doors. That way it'll shoot enemies once they get into the room. Don't place them outside the doors though, otherwise it will waste ammunition. Once you have your defenses set up and you're good to go, activate the alarm door, focus on the scans, kill the enemies as they come in, and once you've completed everything, you can open up the security door and head into Zone 15. Inside of Zone 15, you'll be able to find the terminal that you need to use to unlock the security door to Zone 17. However, this terminal is locked and requires a password that you can always find on the terminal located inside Zone 20, which is actually just to the south of the zone you're in. However, the security door to Zone 20 is also locked and requires a colored keycard that can only be found inside of Zone 21. So after you finish your business inside Zone 15, you're going to want to head to the eastern side of it to the security door to Zone 16, which is just a full team scan, and head into there. Inside Zone 16, there will be some resources, some enemies, nothing really anything special, and at the back end of it, you'll find the security door to Zone 21, which is going to be a blood door. So place a mine on it, open up the door, fall back, let the mine deal with most of the enemies, finish off the few remainder that are still alive, and then you can head in. Inside Zone 21, there will be a pretty fair amount of resources, as well as the colored keycard you need to get into Zone 20. So grab everything from in here, loot up a bit, and then head back out to Zone 15, go to the southern end of it to the security door to 20, plug the keycard in, and then you'll see that the only thing tied to that security door is a checkpoint scan. So finish the scan, and the door will automatically open up shortly afterwards. There will never be any sleeping enemies inside Zone 20, but there will be a fair amount of resources that you can collect, as well as a terminal that's going to have the password on it that you need to unlock the terminal back in Zone 15. So loot up and then head back out, put the password into the terminal, and this will unlock it and give you access to the command that you need to use to unlock the security door to Zone 17. However, before you put this command in, you're going to want to set up a few defenses, because once the command is put in, it is going to cause a full zone scan to appear. If you're somebody who played R5B3's Extreme Objective or R5C2's Overload Objective, this should look quite familiar. Just instead of having a giant sustained scan filling up the entire room, you just have the holograms over the doors, which is basically just meant to signify that you can go anywhere inside the zone to gain progress on a scan, you just can't leave the zone itself. And of course, while you're defending, you're going to have hordes of enemies coming after you. So let's take a look at a map overlay real quickly. As you can see, there are three different locations enemies can spawn from, or three general locations: the north, the east, and the south. Now, all the northern doors should already be broken open because of the previous alarm, so there's nothing we can really do up here. However, there is the door here to the east that we can use, as well as the door here to the south that we can use. So I recommend you shut both of those doors and place one mine on each, and then that's really all the setup you need to do. As for you and your team, once you put that command in and the scan appears, you're going to want to go to where you see my team and I going. We're going to defend here, because we want to make it that no matter what direction enemies come from, they have to go through a one-way funnel to get to us. And this location does that perfectly. All we have to do is just place down our auto sentry and burst sentry in front of us, since we are going to be holding out for a few minutes, and then we just simply shoot at any enemy that comes up the stairs and goes for us. Once the scan gets to 100% and all the enemies are dead, you can pack up your belongings, grab any resources that you might not have picked up already, and then make your way back to Zone 12 and go to the security door to Zone 13. And just make sure that while you're going back, you're careful of any enemies you might have kept alive. You don't want to accidentally run around a corner headfirst into a giant striker or two. But once you make it back to Zone 12, go to the security door to 17. This is just going to be a full team scan, and once you finish it, you can head into Zone 17. Inside of Zone 17, there are quite a few regular strikers and shooters spread throughout the rooms, as well as multiple scouts that you need to be careful of. This zone can be quite dangerous, as if you wake up one scout, the scout wave could potentially spawn in one of the other rooms and then wake up all the enemies or even a scout in that room. and then it can set off a gigantic chain reaction, and next thing you know, you have about 50 or 60 enemies coming after you. So take things slow, make sure you're being very careful in any of the rooms that has a scout in it, and also if something does go wrong, just make sure you're reacting quickly depending on where they spawn from. If they spawn outside of the zone, deal with the enemies in the room with you and then deal with them. If they spawn one of the other rooms, maybe fall back, or maybe just lock yourself in a room and place a mine on the door, that way most of the enemies blow up to it. Just make sure that everybody's on the same page, so if something does go wrong, you don't have 4 different plans that are currently being enacted by everybody on the team. But once you make your way through this zone, you'll find the security door to zone 18. This security door is just going to have a checkpoint scan tied to it, so once you finish it, you can head into there and look for the terminal that you need. Inside zone 18, there will be a few enemies that you're going to want to deal with. There will be some more resources that you can grab, but more importantly, like I said earlier, there is that terminal that you need in order to complete the main objective. Once you go near it, the game is going to prompt you to put a command into it, and upon putting that command into the terminal, you are going to be teleported out to the desert realm, or more specifically, Zone 0. When you get out to Zone 0, the game is going to tell you to find the nearby terminal and put a specific command into it, that way you can get teleported back to Zone 18. But upon putting that command into the nearby terminal, you are going to cause a full zone scan to appear, just like the one you dealt with inside Zone 15. So we're going to want to do some prep work first. So go throughout Zone 0, grab all the resources out here. This is the final challenge that you're going to have to deal with, so there's no reason to be conservative with resource packs. Heal everybody up as best you can, make sure everybody's got a lot of ammunition, fill up the sentries, put any leftover to refill in the mine deployer, and just make sure that no resource is going unused. Then once you have all that done, you can start setting up your defenses. As you can see my team doing, we are placing the auto sentry to the western side of us and the burst sentry to the eastern side, and we are defending in the southwestern corner of the arena. The reason for this is because enemies are going to be coming from 4 different directions, and 2 of those directions are on the western half that has to go through the line of fire of the auto sentry, and 1 of those is on the northeastern side, which will have to go through the line of fire of the burst sentry, and the 4th one being in the southeastern side of the arena, which is not covered by one of the 2 sentries, but you have a clear line of sight to it. So if enemies do spawn from that direction, you can very easily deal with them from afar before they get too close to you. And if you have leftover mines, you can place them over there. That way enemies get blown up if they do come from that direction. As for the type of enemies that you're going to have to deal with, most of them are going to be regular strikers and shooters and some small flyers. There will also be a few giant strikers every so often. But more importantly, there's going to be a brand new enemy that makes its very first appearance spawning in every so often. That specifically being the Armored Flyer. The Armored Flyer is just a bigger, more powerful version of the Flyer. It has a whole lot more HP. Its attack is replaced by sort of a charge-up attack that can deal upwards to about 40% of your HP, I believe. However, it is armored, which means that you can only deal damage to it in one of its 2 weak spots. The first one being the very obvious one that's behind it, although you probably won't be shooting this one, seeing how you're all in the same corner of the arena. The other one being the one inside of its mouth, which is a little bit risky because the only time it opens up its mouth is when it's charging up its attack, so you have to play a little bit of a game of chicken with it. One sniper rifle shot to the weak spot will kill it. If you don't have a sniper rifle though, things like the revolver, hell gun, or just sort of any other precision weapon will make pretty quick work of it. Just make sure that when it spawns in, you're aware of it. It's not the biggest threat in the world, but if it does get an attack on you, it is going to take a pretty decent chunk of your HP. So just either stay behind cover so it can't hit you, or just play that game of chicken with it real quick, shoot it at the weak spot, deal with it, and then once it's dead, go on and just focus on the rest of the enemies. You're going to be defending here for about 2.5 minutes, but as long as your situational awareness is good, this shouldn't be too terribly difficult, and once the scan hits 100%, you will automatically be teleported back out into Zone 18. Upon being teleported back, the game will tell you to head to Zone 19 to go to the extraction scan. The security door is in the room with you, and it will automatically open up once you get teleported back. And there are no enemies whatsoever that you have to worry about inside Zone 19. So once you get back, you just walk into 19, go to the extraction scan. It is a silent extraction that gains progress pretty quickly, and once you get up to 100%, you are done and you have beaten R6BX. And that's all there is to it. Just like always, if you have any tips or tricks this level that you want to share, any questions for me, or you just have something in general that you want to say, leave it down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video and found it useful, then consider hitting that like button. It helps out the channel, and it helps these videos get noticed by people who really need them. And while you're down there, you might as well hit that subscribe button and ring that bell to get notified whenever I post a new video. I also have my own Discord server, so if you want to go the extra mile and put a smile on my face, hop on in. The link is down in the description. It's a pretty friendly community. There you can ask me any question you want. You could play with other GTFO enthusiasts. You could just, I don't know, chill with people if you want. It's a nice little place. We like to relax and we like to have a good time. Also in the description, you can find a link that will take you to the official GTFO merch store. So if you love this game and you want to pick up some sweet merch, go take a look and see what they've got for you. Until next time, I hope you all wished Schaefer a happy birthday. If you didn't, then, well, shame on you. Hopefully you'll be better about it next year. And I'll see you all in the next video.